Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It is an honor for me to be participating in this international conference and to be for first time in India, an extraordinary country, the country of Gandhi that has inspired the world. And one of the key messages that Gandhi said is that every person should be the change that they want to see in the world. And here it's an honor to be with many change makers that are leading by example. Also, I would like to thank the Center for Environmental Education and its director, Kajiteya, for his leadership, but as well for all the team that has been working for many months to put together this conference. Thanks a lot for this effort and thanks a lot for making it this possible. I would like to share with you three key messages about what happened at COP21 in Paris and why it is an historical agreement. The second is how education has been included in the climate change agreement, but as well how the climate change process is within the UNFCCC, the Climate Change Convention, and third, some good practices, some key actions and recommendations about the process. What happened at COP21 and why the people say that it is an historical agreement? In December, in Paris, 159 nations adopted the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. It has been the first time that over 100 heads of the states and governments work together at the same time in the same place, showcasing the highest political commitment on climate change. The Paris Agreement is a universal agreement that establishes commitments for all parties. The main objective of this climate agreement is to keep the global temperature rise this century below the 2 degrees Celsius, and also to try effort to limit the temperature increase even further 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. There are some key points that are essential for this Paris Agreement. Regarding mitigation, all countries have commitments to reduce their emissions to achieve the goal of the temporal goal. Also, adaptation. Adaptation has been a strength in this agreement, and the idea is to give support to developing countries to build resilience and to adapt to the effects of the climate change. Three key enablers are also part of the agreement: finance, technology, and capacity building to enhance climate change action by all countries. The basis for this climate agreement were the intended national determined contributions. What are these? Are the action plans that each country defined with their commitments on climate change. In Paris, when the governments got together, 188 countries have submitted their intended national determined contributions, and it made a really change in the approach because it is a bottom-up approach to build this international agreement. Parties agree in Paris that they will submit the national determined contributions every 5 years, and that in 2023 will be an stock take to assess the progress in the implementation. Also, another key element of the climate agreement is that it recognizes the key role that the non-party stakeholders play in the implementation. It means civil society, the private sector, financial institutions, citizens, cities, and also other subnational authorities. Following the adoption of the Paris Agreement in New York on the 22nd of April, that is the Earth Day, there will be a special event for the signature. This agreement will be open for a signature for 1 year, and it will enter into force once at least 55 parties, 55 countries that represent at least the 55% of the global emissions have ratified the agreement. The Paris Agreement is a long-term vision for a low-emission, green and climate-resilient development. And how education has been integrated into the climate change agreement. First of all, you may know that Article 6 of the Convention is the article that invites all parties to promote education, training, public awareness, public access to information, public participation, and international cooperation. Parties have recognized that for effective implementation of the adaptation and mitigation actions, education plays a fundamental role. In 2012, at the COP in Doha, parties agreed the Doha Work Program on Article 6 of the Convention. It is an 8-year program that sets up and brings the general actions that country, but also other stakeholders can implement in these 6 elements of Article 6. During the COP21 in Paris, for the first time ever in the history of the COP, was organized an Education Day on the 4th of December. And this Education Day recognized the key role that education plays in all the process. It started with a ministerial event where ministers of education, but also ministers of environment were together. It is one of the key messages. We need to enhance the cooperation and the articulation between the environmental sector, but as well the education sector. And climate change is not an environmental issue anymore. It is a development issue, and therefore is a cross-sectoral issue that requires the work of all different stakeholders together. Also, at the COP was organized a side event on formal climate change education, discussing how countries have integrated climate change education into their curriculum, different programs to train teachers, how have developed teaching materials and other programs. And as well, a side event on non-formal climate change education, exploring innovative ways for climate change learning, for instance, music, social media, art, how we can best communicate and how we can mobilize action. In Paris, we can say that education has been recognized and has been elevated to the highest political agenda. Why? The climate change agreement in the preamble recognized the key role of education, but as well that the sustainable lifestyle and the sustainable pattern of consumption and production play an important role in addressing climate change. Also, the climate change agreement has a dedicated article. It is Article 12 that says, parties shall cooperate in taking measures as appropriate to enhance climate change education, training, public awareness, public participation, and public access to information, recognizing the importance of this step with respect to enhance action under this agreement. Also, the Paris Agreement has a decision that contains 2 paragraphs related to education and invites the first conference of the Paris Agreement, it means at COP22 in Morocco, to explore ways to enhance the implementation of Article 6 of the Convention. The third point that I wanted to share with you is why this conference is so relevant and how your recommendations will fit all the process. First of all, under the Doha Work Program, there are several recommendations that parties can undertake. For instance, to promote education, formal, non formal, and informal, include climate change education into the curriculum, develop a national strategy with a long-term goal to promote climate change education. Also, develop different public awareness materials and enhance the cooperation between the government and civil society and different partners. There are several good practices, just starting for where we are, the Center for Environmental Education, as Cayetella mentioned, the train is one of these good practices that we hope also to showcase at the Climate Change Conference and other international meetings. In Indonesia, Benin and Uganda, they developed a national strategy addressing the 6 elements of Article 6. Dominican Republic mobilized from the national budget more than $1 million US for training teachers on climate change education. Mexico included into their national climate change law one chapter dedicated to climate change education. Malawi developed training material for teachers in cooperation with teachers. And also we have been working with the CEE in the compilation of good practices that will be highlighted in the UNFCCC process. Some of the recommendations, just to finalize my intervention, is that there are some key questions that during the conference you can discuss. For instance, what strategies are effective to change attitude and behaviors towards sustainable development? What is needed to advance from public awareness to action? And what good practices we can identify that could be replicated? Just to finalize, I would like to highlight that the results of this conference we would like to showcase at the COP22 in Morocco during the Education Day. Also, as we are in the review of the Doha World Program, 2016 is a key year where different ideas and recommendations to move the agenda forward could be included, and where parties will discuss in May and as well at the COP. And the government of India, with this commitment, also can bring your recommendations to the table. And the results of the COP and all these recommendations and the review of the Doha World Program also will feed the process of the GAP. Then it is working together to make possible that all our efforts are contributing to the same goal. And with this also is an invitation to continue working, and with your work and your effort to support implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, but as well the Climate Change Agreement.